I rise, again giving the Most High praise, all praise is to Allah, and the highest honors to His Prophet Noble Ali. I'd also like to extend honors to our forerunner, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. I'd also like to extend honors to our Sheikh staff, our admin staff, and our Vanguard staff that keeps the peace. Islam. That was another profound measure of the role that our temple is to play in our lives, and what our temple is. That first 10 minutes, I think he broke down all of the Moorish history in about like 5 or 10 minutes. So that was very, very profound. And then on a more personal sense of what our temple represents to us, I'll read from chapter 5 briefly. And I'll start at verse 12. And I'll preface this with a book for those that are familiar with Think and Grow Rich, written by Napoleon Hill. Although he's not Asiatic, a lot of these teachings are not new. There's nothing new under the sun. With our prophet, as much as we give honors to our prophet did not bring us anything new. What's our religion? Islamism. Excuse me. What's our religion? Islamism. Is that the new or the old time religion?
Old time religion.
So what we have is not new. We just have, it's new to us because we have to get back to it. We have to remember from where we came. But I said that to say that in this book, Think and Grow Rich, it speaks a lot about using your desires to get where you want to be, or to get things, obtain the things that you want to get. And this book was written, I think, if I'm not mistaken, or published in 1930s, early 1930s. And when was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913. Islam. So these teachings, we had these teachings. Our people had these teachings before this book was written and published, but we were slowly unfolding them. We're still struggling to unfold them to this day. So our temple is a workshop of the mind. And I'm gonna read verses from chapter 5. And it says, speaking of our prophet Jesus, it says, one day he was bringing forth the tools for work. He said, "These tools remind me of the ones we handle in the workshop of the mind, where things were made of thought and where we build up character." So our brother Raphael said that if you think that your condition can be better, then join the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's a key word, think, because with your thoughts you put out your desires, with your desires from your heart. So if you think that your condition can be better, then join the Moorish Science Temple of America. If you don't think so, then you don't need to join the Moorish Science Temple of America, because that's the first step to saving yourself. It says, we use the square to measure all our lines and straighten out the crooked places of the way and make the corners of our conduct square. We use the compass to draw circles around our passions and desires and to keep them in the bounds of righteousness. We use the axe to cut away the knotty and useless and ungainly parts and make the character symmetrical. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it is a part of every part. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surfaces of joint, block, and board that go to build the temple for the truth. So we are building the temple of the perfected man. We are the perfected man and the perfected woman. So we are to be a pure vessel. So with that, I'll go back over them. The square, we need to make sure our conduct is square. We have to make sure that in all of our dealings, when we go out as Moorish Americans, we are representing our prophet. We're representing our movement. When we speak, when we carry ourselves, even when we think nobody's watching, we have to watch our conduct because somebody's watching. The way we carry ourselves, the way we dress, all of these things are a part of our conduct, and we are here to make it square. When brothers and sisters come in, we may think, like before this, my Moorish days, I studied with the Hebrew Israelites, and I felt so, there's truth in it. There's truth in that teaching, but what I wasn't getting, not to say that all Hebrew Israelite camps or no Hebrew Israelite camps provide this. What I didn't have was something to keep my conduct square, that institution in place to keep my conduct square. Where do the Jews go to keep their conduct square? They go to the synagogue. They have somewhere to go where if they're messing up, somebody is there to tell them, hey, brother, sister, this is not right, or this is a better way to handle it. Or they'll open up their books, their holy texts, and read and say, this is how you should deal with that. We use the compass to draw circles around our passions and desires to keep them in the bounds of righteousness. So coming into this movement, none of us are perfect, but this movement is something where we can come in and see what, I'm trying to figure out a way to phrase it, but see what our bounds are, to see what things we need to, and that gets into the acts, to see what things we need to get rid of, what things are not profiting us, what things are keeping us stagnant as a nation of people, what things are keeping us stagnant as Asiatics. We use the hammer to drive home the truth and pound it in until it is a part of every part. And that's an important one, because everything, also another name for truth is Aht, and Aht is Allah. So Allah should be a part of everything that we do. And every act should be a prayer. When interacting with our Sunni brothers and sisters, and they ask us, do you pray 5 times a day? We say that our every act is a prayer. Everything that we do should be dedicated to Allah. It's for Allah. We use the plane to smooth the rough, uneven surfaces of joint and block and board that go to build the temple for the truth. The chisel, line, the plummet, and the saw all have their uses in the workshop of the mind. And then this ladder with its trinity of steps, faith, hope, and love, on it we climb to the dome of purity in life. And on the 12-step ladder we ascend until we reach the pinnacle of that which life is spent to build, the temple of perfected man. So we are doing this, or we are developing our character in this organization so that we can regain our lost estate, so that we can be one with Allah again. But in order to be one with Allah, you have to be purified first. You have to remove certain things. You have to, like it said, make your conduct square. Islam. And I'll also read, also want to go into chapter 42 as well. Into chapter 42. And the reason why I kind of want to touch on this is because we ask, this has been something that's been revealed to me over the past few weeks, we ask a lot of each other. And we kind of set expectations on others that we may not necessarily be willing to uphold ourselves. So we have to look back, we have to learn to not desire out of others, not just what we want to give ourselves, but not desire too much out of others that they're not willing to give. Because like our first brother who gave a measure said, that repentance is when you feel remorse for something. So if someone doesn't feel the need to change, then they will never change. And it's not our duty. It's our duty to present life or death. It's our duty to present good and evil. It's our duty to present as we mentioned, we make reference to the movie, Malcolm X, with the clean glass of water and the dirty glass of water. So when we go out into the world, it's not our duty to force our people to no longer refer to themselves as black. It's just our duty to present the options before them. And I'll read verse 42. It says, this is the holy instructions from the prophet, weakness. Vain and inconstant as thou art, O child of imperfection, how canst thou be weak? Is not inconstancy connected with frailty? Can there be vanity without infirmity? Avoid the danger of the one, and thou shalt escape the mischief of the other. Wherein art thou most weak? In that where thou seemest most strong, and that wherein most thou glorieth, even in possessing the things which thou hast, in the using the good that is about thee. So when we ask for these things, or once that person says that, you know what, I don't want to be black anymore. Now what's the next step? What do we do after that? What's the next step? After they say that they don't want to be black anymore, how do we guide those people? So here, if we have a family, or if we have members, or if we have ones that say that they don't want to be black anymore, we have to know how to guide these people as leaders, because as Moorish Americans, we are leaders of our people, as simply conscious people. Asiatics in general, Asiatics, conscious or not, we are the guiders of the world. If we go out, our brothers go out with their pants sagging, and our sisters chase behind them with their pants sagging, everybody's going to chase behind that particular type of person. Because we are the guiders of the world. We set the tone, we set the standard for the rest of the world. I was listening to, it was an Asian rapper my brother showed me, and I listened to it, and it sounded like Future or somebody. And it's like, why is this Asian child mimicking us? But it's because we set the tone, and like the sister Sajida said, we make black look cool. Even though that's not us, we make black look really cool, but it's not ours, so we have to give it back. And once we raise our standard, the rest of the world will raise their standard, and that's how we uplift fallen humanity. Not just Asiatic humanity, but all of humanity. Wow. Verse 3, are not thy desires also frail? Or knowest thou even what it is thou wouldest wish? When thou hast obtained what most thou sought after, behold, it contenteth thee not. So this verse is kind of funny, because it's like, it reminds me of like brothers. I'm gonna pick on Sister Yaya. I'm gonna pick on you. When your wife says she's hungry, think of, he turned his face up already. Think of Allah as our men or our brothers. And the women, we say that we're hungry, but we don't know what we want to eat. We want something. We know that we want happiness from Allah. We know we want to be prosperous. But when Allah says, okay, well, what does that look like? What do you want to see happen? We want a nation. We want a Moorish nation. We want businesses. We want to be prosperous. But how does that look? One minute we're here, the next minute we're there. It's confusing. And Allah does not know. Allah does not know what we want. Lieutenant does not know what you want to eat. You have to be clear. We have to be clear, and we have to be concise in our desires. So it's in the path of, with the walk of Buddhists, it says the root of all suffering is the desire. It's not necessarily the desiring that's bad, but it's what you're desiring, or your lack of will to focus on what you say you want. We change from minute to minute.
Islam.
Not just the women, the brothers too. Are not thou desires also frail? I'll read that verse again. Are not thy desires also frail? They change. Or knowest thou even what it is thou wouldest wish? When thou hast obtained what most thou sought after, behold, it contenteth thee not, because we didn't put any sincere thought into what we really wanted. We didn't take the time to say, this is what I want, I'm going to focus on it. And that goes back into that those principles that come originally from Allah through our prophet, and you can also read them in the book Think and Grow Rich. all of these things line up with what our prophet brought to us, because it's that desire that drives the bringing things into fruition. Wherefore loseth the pleasure that is before thee its relish, and why appeareth that which is yet to come the sweeter? Because thou art wearied with the good of this, because thou knowest not the evil of that which is to come. Because thou knowest not the evil of that which is not with thee. Know to be content is to be happy. So in that, we hope for bigger things. Let's say we are in an apartment and we want to, or let's say we are renting a home, and we want to own a home. Are we prepared to deal with the maintenance requirements of owning a home? Are we really prepared to deal with that? So we ask for these things, but we don't prepare for the things that come with, the responsibilities that come with the things that we're asking for. So once we get those things, we're no longer happy with them. So we have to learn to be content in our present station, and then the things that we desire, we will be prepared for them once they do come to us. Couldst thou choose for thyself? Would thy Creator lay before thee all that thy heart could ask for? Would happiness then remain with thee, or would joy always dwell in thy gates? Alas, thy weakness forbiddeth it. Thy infirmity declareth against it. Variety is to thee in the place of pleasure, but that which permanently delighteth must be permanent. So it doesn't matter what we ask for. If we ask for a new house, a new car, businesses, all of these things can be temporary. They can be taken away. That, as the brother said, obtaining eternal happiness comes from joy being, hope and love being the back of your toil. So it says that in our Circle 7, it says I believe it's the chapter on the soul of man, it says that speaking of wisdom, action is her delight, or action delighteth us, or delighteth the soul of man. So the joy comes, or that happiness comes from us putting in the work to obtain the things that we want, to manifest the things that we want. When that is gone, thou repenteth the loss of it, though while it was with thee, thou despiseth it. That which succeedeth it hath no more pleasure to thee, and thou afterwards quarreleth with thyself for preferring it. Behold, the only circumstances in which thou arrest not. Is there anything in which thy weakness appeareth more than in desiring things? It is in the possessing and in the using of them. So once we get these things, like I said, we don't know how to use them. So our temple is here to teach us how to use these things that we obtain, how to be better citizens. Good things cease to be good in our enjoyment of them. What nature meant pure, sweet, are sources of bitterness to us. From our delights arise pain, from our joys sorrow. Be moderate in the enjoyment, and it shall remain in thy possession. Let thy joy be founded on reason, and to its end shall sorrow be a stranger. The delights of love are ushered in by sighs. So, and I'll finish this verse. The delights of love are ushered in by sighs, and they terminate in languishment and dejection. The object thou burdeneth for nauseates with satiety, and no sooner hast thou possessed it, but thou art weary of its presence. Join esteem to thy admiration. Unite friendship with the love. So shalt thou find in the end content so absolute that it surpasseth raptures, tranquility more worth than ecstasy. I'll read that again. Join esteem to thy admiration. Unite friendship with love. So shalt thou find in the end content so absolute that it surpasseth raptures, tranquility more worth than ecstasy. Allah hath given the no good without its admixture of evil, but he hath given thee also the means of throwing off the evil from it. So that goes into our ability to resolve issues, our resolution. So Allah will give us things in our lives. He'll place things in our lives that are good to us or can be good to us, but it's up to us to remove those. Like it said, the axe is sent, or we're given the axe to cut away the 90 ungainly parts. So we have to remove the things that cause us pain about this thing of good. So everything around us, every person in our life, every opportunity, every job, every door that opens, there's going to come some admixture of evil. But we have to know how to resolve and make this thing the thing that we want it to be, instead of just throwing it out. As joy is not without its alloy of pain, so neither is sorrow without its portion of pleasure. Joy and grief, though unlike, are united. Our own choice can only give them to us entirely. And that choice, again, that choice, or our ability to choose what we desire, that's an important thing, because if we say that, oh, things are just horrible and I'm in pain and I'm in grief, and I'm having grief, we'll have that all the time. But the minute we stop and we say, okay, I choose to prosper, I choose life, I choose the clean glass of water, I choose not to be Negro, black, and color, I choose to be Moorish American, I choose to live a higher life, then that's when we'll be uplifted. That's when the blessings will begin to be ushered in. Melancholy itself often giveth delight, and the extremity of joys are mingled with tears. The best things in the hands of a fool may be turned to his destruction, and out of the worst, the wise will find means of good. So blended is weakness in thy nature, O man, that thou hast not strength either to be good nor to be evil entirely. Rejoice that thou canst not excel in evil, and let the good that is within thy reach content thee. The virtues are allotted to various stations. Seek not after impossibilities, nor grieve that thou canst not possess them all. Wouldst thou at once have the liberality of the rich and the contentment of the poor? Shall the wife of thy bosom be despised because she showeth not the virtues of the widow? If thy father sink before thee in the divisions of thy country, can at once thy justice destroy him, and thy duty save his life? If thou behold thy brother in the agonies of slow death, is it not mercy to put a period to his life? And is it not also death to be his murderer? Truth is but one. Thy doubts are of thy own raising. He who made virtues what they are, planted in thee the knowledge of their preeminence. Act as thy soul dictates to be, and the end shall be always right. So in this, we understand that there is a balance, and we are taught to be content. That's one of the main things in this chapter, that we are to be content, not so content to where we are satisfied with our current state. It's okay to have desires, and it's actually, we should have desires for things that are greater, but at the same time, we have to know what to do once those things come to us. And with that, I will leave you as I can.